Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me, everyone? So please, I'd like to know if you can hear me. Just write yes or no. Okay. Maybe the messages are not uh, activated. I don't. Okay. All right. So Iman, can you make sure that the messages are
Yeah, it seems like the
enabled?
chat is disabled. I'll double check. Yes.
Yes. Can you please double check?
Do. Sure.
So please be patient with us. So Iman is going to solve this problem as soon as possible. All right, so I think the problem is solved. So, hi everybody. My name is Mohammed. So, can you start? So, can you say hi in the chat box, please?
Mohammed, I think they can
Yes.
all hear you. I will need like a minute to sort it out. So you can go ahead
Okay,
and
so that's great.
I
So,
can see
let's,
them in the
yeah.
question and answer session that they are
Okay, great.
they're talking about the chat, so they can all hear you. Just go
Yeah.
ahead. I'll have a minute just to sort it out.
That's great. Thank you so much. Right. So, sorry everybody for this inconvenience. So, Iman is going to uh, solve the problem and enable the chat box for you. Right. So, let me just introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Bouri. I'm from Morocco, um, and I'm glad to have you here. Our topic today is going to be about teaching large classes, transforming challenges into opportunities. Um, that's great. So I think the problem is solved. Thank you so much, Iman. I'd like also to welcome our co-moderator, co-host today, Iman Ajili. She's from Libya, and she's helping me with lots of things. She's going to help me with sharing the links, receiving your comments as well as your questions, and she's going also to help with the moderation of the session when fit. Thank you so much, Iman. Let's get started. So, can you please share with us your name and where you're joining us from? Yes, we've got people from Saudi Arabia, Egypt, right, Morocco, Emirates. That's great. Algeria, Yemen. Oh, that's great. Thank you. All right. So, welcome everybody. Now, let's get started. Um, I'd like to begin with an introduction, just to pave the way and set the scene for the topic of today. Then I'm going to cover challenges with large classes, challenges with large classes. After that, you will learn some of the tips about how to deal with large classes and to maximize learning. And lastly, we'll sum up with some, we're going to talk about some advantages of large classes. These are the learning outcomes. So by the end of this webinar, you will understand the dynamics of large classes, explore the challenges of teaching large classes, learn effective ways or some effective ways and strategies to maximize learning with teaching class courses. And then, which is the overall goal, I'm going to convince you to destroy some of the myths associated with teaching large classes. Right, great. So let's get started. So use the chat box, please, and share with us your definition for a large class. So what is a large class for you? Let me hear your definitions. More than 15. So 15 students, 20 students. Oh, okay. 20 peoples. It's more than 50. Okay. All right. 45. Okay, so we have different answers to the same question. So everybody has his own way to view large classes. Somebody says more than 60, Mustafa, right? Okay, everybody. The next, right, I will have I will have you answer a poll, right? So let me prepare the poll for you. I'm not sure why I can't see the poll here.
Mohammed, is it the classroom size, current class size?
Can you see it? Because I cannot see it in my
I can
screen.
see it. I can see it, and I think I can launch it.
Okay, just wait for
Is
me
it the
to
current
share the.
class size?
It's not the class size, but the number.
It says it's okay. I can see one that says class size, current class size, and I can see another one that goes class size.
It's class size, yes. Okay, start with class size.
Okay.
Yeah, can
Okay.
you launch it for me, please?
Yes.
All right, so I'd like you to choose one of these. From one of these choices, what do you think is the appropriate size for an English class?
How long will you give it, Mohammed? It's been 1 minute and 13 seconds
Yeah,
now.
okay, so let's have
Shall
the
I end
result.
it?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Oh, great. So let's see. So let's look at the results right now. So we have 58% said that an appropriate size of the class is between 10 and 20 students. 26% says 20, between 20 and 30, 10%, 30, 40 students in the class, and while 5% says 40. So as you can see from the results, we have different views. And I think this reflects also the word views on large classes. So everyone views large classes from their own perspectives based on the context, based on the educational context as well, and also other factors that we'll discover today with our webinar. So thank you so much for this, the first poll. Let's move on to the next one. Maybe Iman, can you share the second poll, which is current size of the class, so that
Sure.
everybody could choose? Great. So, okay. Great. So for this poll, how do you describe your count size class size? You can use those You can choose just one. Is it small, average, large, overcrowded? So you have the numbers there. So choose one to describe how your class size is. I think everybody has voted, I guess.
Shall I end it, Mohammed, and share the
Yes,
results?
yeah. You can just share the results.
Okay.
Oh, okay. This is what I expected. Let's say 51% say it's between 20 and 35, which is the average typical class in the MENA region. And then let's see other numbers. So we have 9%. They say that they are teaching in overcrowded classes. That's 550, which makes it very challenging. And also wakes this webinar very important for them to take some tips. And we have 23% says they are teaching 10 to 20. Okay, you're just very lucky to be teaching 10 to 20 students in a classes. Thank you so much for sharing those numbers. Now let's move on. Now I'd like you to use the chat box and then share with us, how do you feel about your class size? Just choose an emoji to describe how you feel about your class size. Okay, let's see. Okay, some are satisfied, some are, they love it, some don't, some are furious, some are lying, yes, some are crying. Oh my God. Okay, from emojis, your emojis, it seems that some of you are, I can see that most of you are dissatisfied, are very dissatisfied with the number of of the size class of, yeah, of your classes. We have fewer people who are sharing happiness emotions, which describes that they are satisfied with their classes. So after this motivation session, um, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to get some interaction, some reactions from you, just to motivate us in order to delve into this topic of large classes today. Now, let me share some of the facts. Do you know, are you familiar with some of the facts about large classes around the world? Can you give numbers? Do you know, for example, the map of size classes in the world? Can you share, for example, what is the normal or the average class in UK, US, the MENA region, in North America, South America? Can you share some numbers in the chat? 50, 70 in Iraq. Okay. UK 20. Okay, we'll see. Qatar 30. All right. What about Asia and South America? South Africa. Okay. Okay. Someone at North Egypt over 40. Okay. Morocco 20, 40. Okay. I don't think so. We'll see the result then. Okay, great. So now I'd like you to look at this table just to compare your guesses and your predictions with the table, right? Okay, so look at this table. You can see. So Iman is going to share the source of this table and also the statistics. So as you can see here, we have varying numbers. of the average between the average of class size in primary and the average class size in secondary. As you can see, in sub-Saharan countries, we have the average class for primary is between 40 and 60 plus, and then for the secondary is over 50. India as well, China, it falls in the same category. Now, if you look at the United States, we have 2030, okay, for primary and 25, 35 for the secondary. For the UK, it's 27, France, 22, 27, which makes it one of the ideal class sizes for teachers. And for Morocco, for the MENA region, between 35 and 45 for primary students. So, for the secondary, middle school and high school, we have 40, 50. And for Morocco, where I come from, so it's between 40 and 50, which is a little bit high. And then for secondary, 45, 55. For Egypt, it's plus 50. And right, you can just validate these numbers. They are sourced from really reliable sources. Right, so what this table describes, it describes, I'm not talking about private schools, so I'm talking about public schools, okay? For private schools, we can see numbers ranging from 10 to 20, okay, in Morocco. And I don't know what is the class size in other countries, comparing the public and private sectors. But overall, this is just a source that gives us some time to think about the issue of large classes compared to small classes, okay? Or what teachers would like to have or dream to have as a class, as an English class, okay? Right. Let's move on. Let's see why. I'd like to ask you this question. Why large classes? What do you think are some of the factors or the reasons behind the existence or the likelihood of those classes? Why do they exist? Economic factors, that's great, yes. Yes, limits, yeah, resources limited, yes. Shortage of teachers, that's really great as well. Overpopulation, yes. Yeah. Lack of facilities. Okay. Okay, schools want to make more revenue. Okay, not enough teachers and shortage of teachers. That's really great. This is a good factor as well. Okay, lack of teachers, the same idea. Economic factors, yes, shortage of teachers, the same ideas. Okay, that's great. You have really tapped on the problem. Actually, I'm going to share some of the factors that contribute to that problem of classroom. Why do they exist at the first place? So first we have what we call talk about let's say operational or concerns. These are related to the budget constraints. Number two, policy reforms. Planning and infrastructure deficiencies. So in some countries, they face lots of planning and infrastructure deficiencies. That they have wrong planning policies and also the investment in false infrastructures. Teacher sources, as you mentioned in the comments. Government prioritization. So we've seen that a lot of countries prioritize other sectors at the expense of education. So, for example, the health sector and the infrastructure sector over education. That's why they neglected a little bit the education, and that's why the large classes keep that growing and growing. Okay, now that we have covered some of the reasons and factors that contributed to the existence of large classes, now let's move on to discover, to the next section, we will discover the challenges. So we'll be discussing the challenges with large classes, okay? What I wanted to do, I wanted to share what has been the most challenging teaching a large class? So what has been the most challenging moment for you? What is one thing that you could mention that has been the most challenging teaching a large class? Let me read from the time management. Okay, discipline, yeah, management, control of class, noise, yes, that's great. Okay, class control, noise, engagement, yeah, distraction, not focusing on. Let me read this one. Okay, the comments keep coming. Knowing the name of the students, yes, it's very difficult to name if you have like large class, difficult to memorize the names of learners. Yes, less focus, yes, limits. We will see these as well. That's great. Monitor students, yes. Okay, controlling the troubles, yes, troublemakers. We always have those in our classrooms. Differentiation of instruction. Oh, very good. Thank you so much for summarizing and contributing to this. Right. Now, what I want you to do, I will have poll 3. So I will have Iman share poll number 3. Can you, Iman, please? Great. So which of the following are common problems in your large classes? You can select as many as you can. I think that's enough for them. Iman, can you just share the results? Let's see. Oh, all right. So 75 of the teachers say that the major problem is, okay, classroom management, assessment of learning and giving feedback, 54%, limited individual attention, 58%, disengagement of task behavior, 41, catering for the diverse to deliver needs of the learners, 40%, scarcity of resources, 15%, monitoring students' progress, 35, then teacher burnout, 25. Okay, so I think most of the teachers voted for classroom management as the primary issue with uh, large classes, teaching large classes. Okay, thank you so much for answering that poll. Now, let's list these problems one by one. Okay, issues. So mostly teachers working with all over the world, working with learners with large classes, they find they come across those problems, they face those problems when teaching large classes. Uh, Classroom management. We have group noise, groups, managing groups, terminating or diminishing the likelihood of noise, the existence of noise in our classrooms. Then we have assessment of learning and giving feedback, comprehension mostly. Limited individual attention, disengagement. We have lots of off-task behavior, off-task learners, catering to diverse needs of learners, and then scarcity of teaching resources, a lack of teaching resources, monitor students' progress, and then teacher burnout. So teachers feel very overwhelmed about teaching large classes, and then they quit or they get sick and so on and so forth. Right. So now that Let's move on to the next section. We will discover some of the tips how to deal with large classes and how to deal with every single of those challenges. Okay, are you ready? So let's go. Right, go. Um, First of all, I will ask you, before I give you some tips, I will ask how you are currently dealing with that problem. For example, let's say how you deal with large classes. So in terms of classroom management, limited resources, and so on and so forth. How do you deal with, what strategies are you using? Okay, I'm going to read from, okay, group dynamics. Yeah, group work. Okay, that's great. Collaborative work. Yes. Think, pair, share. Yes. Strategies. Having fixed rules for classroom. Okay, sitting rules for the classroom. Break into, yeah. Group work. Differentiation. Yes. Having more teachers to help. Okay. This would solve the problem, but we have shortage of teachers. Schools are not hiring enough teachers, so that's why we have large classes. So we're trying to find out what tools and strategies we're going to apply in order to reduce teachers suffering from teaching large classes. Okay, using moving around the classroom to ask questions randomly. Okay, that's great. Okay, good. So I think you have had lots of experience dealing with large classes. Let us share some more uh, effective tools and tips for you as teachers to deal with large classes. Okay, so let's start with the first one: classroom management, or especially managing groups and noise. So what is the opportunity? For every challenge, we have an opportunity. We can use that challenge to turn it into an opportunity to solve the problem itself. So for the for classroom management, I would suggest what? Number one, train your learners to work in groups and pairs. I will go back and explain each of these in detail. Number two, use signs to control noise and maintain student attention. Keep student active. And teacher, consider improving your teacher behaviors, especially proximity, equitable distribution, and individual help. Now, let me summarize each of these. As you can see from the picture here, when training learners to work in groups and pairs, try to take into consideration these ideas. Number one, it's a habit formation process. So establishing rules, setting simple rules, for example, is a habit formation. So you need patience and time to make your learners get to know what wrong behavior is and what behaviors you can validate. What is allowed and what is not allowed. It's a habit formation. It needs time, it needs repetition from your part, it needs some patience. It's not that easy at the beginning, but once the system is established, your learners will be responding to that system. So the next one is have students choose their own pairs and groups that they would like to work. So we know that students would like to network with some type of the students that the students they have friends in their classrooms, and they'd like to pair up with other friends other than others. So make this a possibility for them to choose their friends. This will diminish or reduce the likelihood of those behavior that are making it difficult for you to perform as a teacher. And the last one is we're talking about self-regulation strategies, or what we call goal setting. So help your learners. So even if they have any questions, you could just add any comment that you see needs more attention. You could just highlight it. So when we talk about self-regulation strategies, I would like to refer you to the work of Ryan and DC, who have investigated how these strategies, especially goal setting, uh, with when you help your learners set goals for their entire course or for their single lessons, this contributes to um, their academic performance. It helps them attain lots of objectives, and also it helps them self-regulate their behavior, okay, to suit the norm of the classroom. Now, let's discover more. Now, when we're talking about science, which is the second element, or second strategy to use to control, to reduce that likelihood of noise, um, tell me if you have used in the chat box, have you used such signs to control noise in your classroom? And yes or no? I can see many yes. Yeah, many people saying yes. All right. No. So this is an opportunity for you to learn about those signs. Okay, let's discover the first one, the hand. Okay, if you say raise your hand, how can you use this sign? How can you use it in the classroom? To speak. So if you raise your hand like this one to your learners, what does it signal? What does it signify? Right. You can establish any rule with this sign. You can train your learners. When you raise your hand, it means you have to stop speaking, or it means you want their attention, right? Next, what about pointing to the ear? When you say, for example, this, when you point to your ear, what does it signify? Yes, I want quick. Yeah, very good. It means you want them to listen to something. So you don't have to speak. With a large class, you don't have to speak and consume your energy. You just do this, and then, right, as I said at the beginning, these signs need to be established in a very slow and repeated way, okay? Don't expect results from the beginning. You need time, patience to establish those routines, okay? The next one will be, yeah, when you say this, fingers to the lips, what does it mean for learners? Yes, you want them to keep quiet, yeah. Yeah, very good, yes. And then the next one, yeah, when you have this sign, thumbs up and taps down, what does it mean? Good or bad? Yes or no? Good job. Right. Yes, very good. You can use it for students to agree or disagree about something. Yes, this is the good behavior. This is the bad behavior. That's great. So all of the signs here, you can use them with your learners with different interpretations. Next, open palm facing down. What does this mean? Or how you can use this in your classroom? Focus, sit down. Yeah, you can say sit down. You can use it also. Yeah, very good. There's once, yes, I don't know who is saying this, to lower their voice. Now, your students are shouting in the classroom, so you can train them to lower their voice once you use this sign. So there are other signs. Two fingers walking in the air. If you say to your learners, if you do this to your learners, what does this signify? Can you please tell me? Yes, two fingers walking in the air. Parallel, yes. Let's move on. Very good. Let's move on to the next stage. Walk outside. Very good. Go. Yes, let's continue. Very good. So you can give it the interpretation you'd like to. So I'm just bringing about this science for you to understand that you can cope with or you can reduce those problems that emerge from behavior to manage your classrooms effectively. You can use them effectively, but they need time. And yes, tap in. We didn't say this. Tap in the rest, like checking a watch. What does this mean? Hurry up, maybe. Listen to me. It's okay. Time is up. That's great. So we need to assign your learners a task to do and to give them 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, you do this. It means they have to stop what they are doing, and then let's shift to another activity. Let's correct the activity at hand. Yes, great. And the countdown. So the countdown like this and this with your fingers. What does it signify? What does it show your learners? Yeah. Time is up. It means yes. Okay. It means it's about, yeah, the task is about, the time is about to finish. That's great. So I have just introduced some of the signs. You can also search the internet. You have lots of signs that can you adapt to your classrooms. That's great. Now let's move on to the next one, which is keeping students active. We have lots of strategies. How do you keep your learners active in your classroom? Can you please share with us some of the strategies and tools that you're using? Very good games. That's great, great. Flipped classroom. That's great. Using, okay, pop quizzes, using brainstorming. Okay. Question, discussions. Yes. Group discussions, group work. That's great. Storytelling. All right. That's really excellent. Now, let me share some of those that you have mentioned. Number one is gamification competition, right? The idea from sharing with you this how to act, why we should like keep students active, because most of the derangements, most of the noise that comes from the classroom, it's because the students have no tasks to do. They are like we have gaps, a lot of gaps in our classrooms. So we have to plan our lessons effectively in order to include lots of activities that keep our students active all the time. So one of the tools or the strategy is use gamification and competition. So especially for younger learners, they love to play games and compete with each other. This keeps them very curious and also active. Active learning. When we talk about active learning, this includes discussion, group discussions, hands-on activities. So they demonstrate being active peer teaching as well. Whole class engagement techniques. So you can use a wide range of whole class engagement techniques. The, the ones that we have mentioned earlier, you can use signs, you can use facial expressions, you can use group works as well to engage your learners, the whole class to perform the activities, right? Movement-based activities. Okay, these the good news from theory is that when we talk about brain-based learning and teaching, we have the work, the renowned work of Jason, 2007. It's talked about the correlation between brain and movement. So the more the movement, the more the neurons function in our brains. That produces a lot of activeness in our learners. This also you can tap on this to to come up with activities, to design activities and plan activities that are brain-based. That target moving the student's brain in order to activate those neurons. All right. So you have a wide range of possibilities. Interactive grouping strategies. Right. For the last one component of this classroom management, we have what we call teacher behavior, namely proximity, equitable distribution, individual help. Now, these teacher behavior, are yes, are okay. All right, that's fine. So Kerman and Associates in 1977, they identified 15 behaviors that they because they did a longitudinal study around or across the United States, and they have witnessed teachers performing their lessons. And what they have come up with is that they have discovered that there are 15 behaviors that impacted students' performance. Namely, I have just chosen three um, in order to deal with classroom behavior: proximity, equitable distribution, and individual help. Proximity means, as you can see from the pictures, that those teachers are very close to the learners. So being close to the learners will give them that comfort, give them that relaxation. And then this coupled with individual help. It means you have struggling learners who need individual help. We have stronger learners in our classrooms, and we have struggling learners that need individual help. So we have to be as close as possible to them to offer them that help. Okay. Um, uh, Also, equitable distribution. What do you mean by equitable distribution? Is that we have to give students, all of our students in the classroom, ample opportunities to benefit from our instruction. It's not appropriate that you stand at the front of the class, but it would be very appropriate to move around the class to have that coverage, the whole coverage of the classroom. This will give every student access to your instruction. And also it is a time saving for you to discover some to cut up to couple with those behavior that wrong the behavior issues. Um, these are I don't know if you are familiar with the TISA program. TISA stands for Teacher Expectation Student Achievement. As I have explained before or earlier, it's a program designed for teachers, to train teachers on how to improve their behavior, because this impacts their behavior. We have lots of behaviors. I've just summarized, just selected three. We have wait time, proximity, individual help, desisting, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I have included some links. So Iman is sharing the links for you if you'd like to know more about TISA program and expectation theory. Then also how to manage large classes. There is a YouTube video for you to view and discover more about this. And also there's an article if you'd like to discover um, more about this. Now, let's move on to the next challenge: assessment of learning and giving feedback. This is undoubtedly one of the um, uh, most difficult problems associated with teacher-led classes, is how to assess learners and to give feedback to learners. So how do you do that in your classrooms? How do you assess learners? The expectation program. This is called TISA. It's in the. Iman, can you please reshare the? Maybe they have to scroll up to get the links. Okay. Yeah, TISA program. That's great.
I'll share
Okay.
them again.
Yeah, they have shared. Okay, quizzes, formative assessment. That's great. Differentiation. Great. Now, for the sake of time, let me skip this one and give you what opportunity you have about this. So how do you address this? Number one, base your assessment on overall outcomes, course outcomes, and learning objective for individual lessons. So instead of like singling out every activity in a lesson, you can base your assessment on the overall learning outcomes. It means you can use a PBL, project-based learning. You can assign portfolios for your learners. You assign projects for your learners. You can also base the assessment on the overall outcomes of the, for example, in writing, if you're teaching your students how to write a coherent paragraph, I'm not going to expect you to assess them at the first stage, which when you deliver the lesson. Maybe when they submit a paragraph at the end of the unit or at the end of the semester explaining, for example, how they like something, what food they like, or whatever. Then you can assess their overall performance. Number two, peer grading for informal in class activities. This, allow your students to grade each other. Why not? To assess each other in using in informal activities. Do it. You can include it in your, incorporate it in your own classes. This is one of my favorites. Choice boards. Why not having our students? Why not have your students be graded in terms of, give them choice if they like to submit a drawing that summarizes the class targets or class objective, or a writing, or maybe students would like to shoot a video and share it with us, right? Why not? Group portfolios and projects. If you have a huge number of learners, it will be very overwhelming if you teachers go about correcting every single portfolio or project. Divide this, divide the class into groups. If you have 35, it would be like 5 people per group. That's 7. Those, yeah, that's seven project. That's very, very easy to grade. And also, but one tip I'd like to add here is that when you assign portfolios or project, make sure that you design very sound rubrics. Rubrics show the benchmark for your learners. They show them how are they going to assess, on what basis they're going to be assessed. You don't just assign portfolios like these. Do a project. This is not good. Give them maybe if they included lots of pictures. This is how these are the marks they will get. Maybe if they have fewer grammatical mistakes, fewer spelling mistakes, the mechanics, and so on and so forth. Maybe if they use the creativity, you get to give them a mark about that. The next one, scrapbooks. How many of you are you familiar with scrapbooks? I'd like to know this from the comments section. Scrapbooks. Yes. Are you familiar with scrapbooks? No, love it. Not familiar. Great. So a scrapbook is I've always assigned my learners to craft a scrapbook for their own. They can use a notebook, an old notebook with spare papers, and they can turn this into a very artistic piece of writing they could use to personalize this. We're talking about also learner-centeredness here. So when you give, for example, you're teaching about house, a unit about house, maybe you would like them to describe their dream house. You're teaching a unit about food and drink, maybe you would like them to think about the eating habits based on their culture. So they will personalize it in themselves. They will add pictures, they will add, maybe have someone to add annotations and so on and so forth. So you can do that with your learners. This will save you lots of time, right? Loom strategy. We have a lot of apps, websites for this. So it is very excellent in giving feedback and feedback to a large audience. Loom strategy, you can use loom.com. Iman is sharing the links for you. You can use also Vicaro, which is very nice. I use it myself. So you can record yourself, your voice, giving, let's say, giving feedback to students, okay? If you're doing a grammar lesson, maybe you have noticed that a lot of students are generalizing generalizing ed to verb forms, to maybe to irregular verbs. You can use a Loom strategy, a video where you describe how they have to avoid this, etc. Tech tools like Seesaw, Google Forms, Socrative. This is a really excellent if you'd like to have like real-time feedback for your learners. You can use these tools to do that. Active learning, as we discussed earlier, You have group discussions, pair, think, pair, and share, hands-on activities. These will include your learners to will have your students get ample feedback, be assessed on the skills they are learning, and also the content. Now, let's move on to the challenge number 3, limited individual attention. How are you going to address this opportunity? Well, use nonverbal cues. For example, you can use your facial expressions, gestures, and so forth. Flexible grouping of students. Now, you could just mingle. You could just use listen. You could just use group dynamics. Now, you could include stronger learners with in groups where you have like weak learners. Here, they will do something else, which is called peer teaching. So they are going to support each other, right? Which also save you, and this will diminish to a very great extent. It will diminish the likelihood of those issues associated with noise and troublesome. Exit tickets or these are very excellent tools to use for your students. So now you get your student attention. Why? You give them a small paper with questions, and say, by the end of the session, bring me the answers to these questions. Give them, for younger learners, you can adapt some worksheet for them, and then you can color this, you can match these exercises, and you try to include them in the lesson, and then the students, they will hand in those worksheets or papers, piece of papers, and then they will be alert all the time. Now, the fourth issue, it's this disengagement. We all face this in our classrooms. So how do we deal with this? Number one, we differentiate instruction. We have different tools to differentiate instruction, right? You can use either you can look at this issue from the student's perspective. When you differentiate instruction, it means you need them own their diverse needs, multiple intelligences, interests, and preferences, or diversifying also the teacher's styles. So sometimes you can be a little bit authoritative, especially when addressing fluency and accuracy, or you will be that facilitator, that guide. You just, especially with the you're incorporating discovery learning or discovery approach or inquiry-based approach to your teaching. Number two, in order to engage learners, the topics, you need to tap on this relevance. If your lesson does not match the age of group of the students, the content is not relevant. It is away from what students are expecting. The materials are old enough. Are they old, or they don't match the context? And instruction tools that you use are poor, then you are not targeting the relevance. So the lesson should be relevant, the content should be relevant, the materials should be relevant. So you have to plan ahead. Then the next factor is the comprehensible input. This means that your instructions should be clear. They should be simple. They should match the group age and also the professional level, language proficiency of the students. Try to have that comprehensible input. All right. One more tip is less is more. I've seen a lot of teachers fighting the time, fighting everybody, so that they want to cover everything. Your job is not to cover everything. If the course or the lesson is too tight, is too heavy for learners, they will disengage. Just focus on the basic things, the most important things. Now, I'm planning a lesson for the next time. So what my students are going to walk away with this time? So they're going to learn about active verb. They're going to learn about how to turn passive into active into passive. They will learn about this and this. So this will be my focus of the lesson. Next, the fifth challenge: catering to the diverse needs of learners. As we said, how we address this? By differentiation of instruction. So learners from Students now, from the student's perspective. Now, you can use visual aids, graphic organizers, choice boards I've explained. You give them choice to choose how they're going to learn, whether they prefer videos, whether they prefer worksheets. So you give them a list of things to choose from. Sentence starters, we have struggling learners. If you are teaching passive voice as an example, for stronger learners, if you ask them, for example, turn the sentence into active or passive, they will do that. But for struggling learners, they will be lost. So one of the tools to do or strategies you have to give them time or to choose. You have to give them some starters, some word banks as example. Yes, tier tasks. So tier task, you always tailor students the activities to students level or varying levels in the lesson, right? So if you are designing a lesson and you have multi-level in your classroom, it should be used. This is a very great, the same task, but with varying learning paces, okay? Task modeling. For every task, before you start to assign a task, model it first. If you want them to come up with a piece of writing, give them a model for that. A dialogue, give them a model for that. All right. So Iman is going to share some of the links. I think she has already shared them. Okay, that's great. So if you want to learn more about differentiation and scaffolding, this is the link, and also some learning and teaching side. This article discusses a new, updated, let's say, view on let's say learning, and some scholars would would say that we are no longer talking about uh, learning and teaching styles, right? From a knowledge, from a brain-based learning, from brain-based teaching perspective. But I let you the space or the time to discover this by yourself and to deepen your knowledge in this. Now, comprehensive output, as I said, beginning, this is now the sixth one. So we are just three or two. Uh, Yes, I think we are making up for the time we lost at the beginning, Iman, yes, against second or
Yeah,
six or something. Yes,
yeah,
good.
yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much. So the scarcity of resources, this is also, so large classes means that you need more resources. This is how you can address this. You can you can recycle and reuse materials from all the magazines, newspapers, cardboards. Next, manage whiteboard efficiently. Now, using the whiteboard is a very artistic way. So you can divide the whiteboard the way you do into three parts. You can leave one part, maybe the right part, you can leave it for example, explaining new concepts, because this one will be kept erased, will be erased from now and then. So um, so here it's about managing the classes. The middle one is going to be given for the input for the lesson, the things that they have students that they will copy, and maybe the left one is left for stating the objectives, or if you'd like to teach students about the strategies they would like to learn. If you are teaching reading, you can just use that part to teach, for example, this is skimming, this is scaffolding, this is etc. Right? Um, then lower and no cost materials. Think about flashcards. These are low cost. Think about word walls. They are low cost. You can just bring a flip chart and then put some words. You can teach him, for example, prepositions. You can draw the prepositions, draw, for example, a ball on a box and then say, this is on, and so forth. Display it on, hang it on the wall, and have students benefit from that low cost material. You can use realia, you can use your body, you can use students as well. And also group dynamics, we've talked about this. Jigsaw learning activity, this is one of my favorites. You can divide the classroom into two groups or whatever groups you'd like to, and then you make them experts in a subject. So for example, you give them parts of the lesson, for each group, and then they deal with it. Once the time is up, you have them join other, so each member joins a group to teach them what they have learned, what they have been expert in. So there is a link for you to read more about jigsaw learning activities. And we have students creating materials. Why not have our students create materials? This is very good. It's time saving, material saving, and so on and so forth. So you can create flashcards, have them create flashcards. And also, it's a hands-on activity, especially for young learners. You want to keep them active, have them create the materials for you. They will enjoy it. Leveraging technology. You can use the, I guess you have attended Nadia's session about TikTok, learn about the basics. So Nadia is a really excellent moderator, trainer in technology. You can benefit a lot from her. So you can adapt technology to your learning, to your teaching context. So you can use phones if if the school allows to, projectors, speakers, whatever you have, you can use it. And then efficient lesson planning. You can make use of project-based learning, UDL, Universal Design of Learning, and experiential learning. These are some approaches that you can adapt to, to treat this problem. Now, the seventh one, before the last, monitoring students' progress. One of the challenges we are facing today is that we need to keep track of what students are doing and whether they have grasped the objectives, whether they have grasped the materials that we have taught them. So how are we going to address this? Number one, formative assessment. You can have used exit tickets, traffic light codes, emojis. So for younger learners, students who are teachers who are teaching primary students, if you want them to express, to say whether they have grasped or not, you can have them like have a flip chart and write, for example, I can name the days of the week, and then they can, if they could do that, they can attach an emoji, for example, a smiling emoji. If you cannot, that you can attach a sad emoji. So for you, it gives you feedback, and then you can track their progress with this. You can use think per share, many quizzes. These are formative assessment, peer and self-assessment. You can use checklists. You can have your students, you can design a checklist and give it to students and say, okay, these are at the end of the unit or at the end of the lesson, I can do this, I can do this. So they can take the ones they can take and also take the ones they can't. So it gives you a whole picture about the classroom. Because peer feedback, whole class correction, tick tools like Google Forms, Kahoot, Quizlet, etc. And then we have checklists from the perspective from you as a teacher. You as a teacher, you can design a checklist for you to when you are doing a reflection in action. So the last webinar that we did last, I think, Iman, in last month, I guess. Yes, about reflection, reflective
Yeah.
practices. Yeah. So you can also do reflection in action. So while you are monitoring the students, while you are looking at the students doing performing activities, you can have the checklist and see whether the students are grasping the materials. Then self-regulation strategies. These are, we talked about these today. So these mainly do with instilling in learners a sense of responsibility. So they have to take responsibility for their own learning. So they have to design. We can help them also design their own objectives. This also will trigger intrinsic motivation. The last one, the last challenge, which I'm going to tackle today, is the teacher burnout. If you are not satisfied with your large class, you are not designing effective tools, this will lead to your burnout. So you're going to be disappointed. So how are you going to fight this? Number one, you have to efficiently manage the workload. You prioritize task. You delegate tasks to your learners. Use time-saving strategies. Set boundaries. For example, for a week limit, you have to assign, like to say, this is the work limit of this week. I'm not going to exceed that. Avoid additional responsibilities. If you're a headmaster or everybody responsible in your community would like to assign you more additional responsibility which go beyond your capacity, you can just refuse that. Learn to say no. Support networks. You can join the support networks of teachers like the MENA COPES, community of practice groups. You can join every those let's say communities that deal with continuing professional development. You get support from teachers around the world on self mentors. Self-care and well-being. Take breaks. There's no harm in to take a break. Exercise, meditate, and so on and so forth. Foster positive classroom environment. Learner autonomy, interactive classrooms. Okay, so Iman has shared the link for more tips on how to incorporate these tips in your life. Okay, of course, there are advantages. I have to close up this one, but of course, there are advantages of classroom management. Classroom large classes. One of these is diverse perspective and backgrounds. In a large class, you will the discussions are rich because we have diverse backgrounds and perspectives. Everybody has his own say, has his own stand. So you have this diversity in the classrooms. Peer learning opportunities. The larger the group, the larger the the opportunities where students can interact with peers, which gives them opportunities to active learning, development of autonomy, or what we call student-centered approach, student-centeredness. So here, students are accountable for their own learning. So they develop autonomous learning, exposure to diverse teaching styles. You are not only the authority in the classroom, you are the facilitator, the guide, and so on and so forth. Also the blender, you blend teachers' learning, the teacher's instruction with learners' learning. And then socializing and networking. These are large classes are great opportunities for learners to socialize with each other and create those learning communities in their classrooms. Preparation for real world situations. So we have students for all walks of life. This provides a very excellent uh, source of real world situations where they have to learn from each other. And also leverage technology, we talked about this. So this pushes teachers to think about how to use technology in order to narrow the gap between the developed countries, and also to give students opportunities for feedback, and also for different uh, activities. Last but not least, CPD opportunities. You can start from the classroom because you have problems, then you start to ask questions how to solve those problems. You will engage in what we call active research, which is a cyclic process where you start with a question, you look for review of literature, you review what teachers have discovered about this and what scholars have said about this, and then you implement some intervention, and then you summarize you get to get some tips, and then you can share the recommendations with your learners, and then you can discover another problem where you start from way from the beginning. Right. So this is the summary of today to the topic. So what we have learned, we have explored from this webinar. We looked at some challenges associated with teaching large classes. We also had some practical tips on how to amend such challenges, and then we had some looked at some advantages of teaching large classes. So before we finish this, you can just if you want to download your certificate, you can either follow these. You can either use the link or the QR code. You can just scan it from the screen, or as Iman has just shared with you, the link. Maybe Iman will wait for like 10 seconds or for them to scan the code.
Yeah. And just I just need to insist that they need, if they want to download the if they're using a phone, they need to use a laptop, not a phone.
Yes, great. Yeah, this
Okay.
is
And they
correct.
need to
Yeah.
download, and they need to have the Adobe Reader, and they need to download the certificate on their device. Then they'll be able to write their names on.
Yes, that's great. So,
That's it.
yeah, if you are using a phone, it's not going to work. Just use a laptop. You have to have the Adobe application or software. Uh, yes, you can. If you don't have one, you can download one, and then you can add your name and save it to your desktop. So this is how you can. Yeah. Now maybe we can go to the next one. Yeah, so this is what happening in English teaching in February and March. So for the community of practice, you can always subscribe and register to do our WhatsApp sessions. We have free online support. Teaching primary, we still have some spots there, and also for teaching secondary and teaching education and speaking club 4. So you can just click on the links to join our community of practice groups. Um, and also we would like to, because we would like to improve our services and the way, and also the topics we offer you, we'd like to have to receive some kind of feedback from you. So please click on the link and fill this form for us to improve. Maybe you can scan the code, as you can see from the, maybe I have to, so have you shared this one with them, with the audience?
The feedback form, I'm still resharing the links, the WhatsApp links. I'll be sharing the feedback form in a few seconds.
So for those who like, if they missed the certificate link, they can, it can be, yeah, they can find it in our Facebook page, right, Iman?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll make sure to share the link for the people who attended. Just yes, can you please reshare the link for the certificate, because people have been asking about this.
I did share it.
Okay, that's right. All right. Okay. So maybe we have. Okay, that's great. So yeah. Okay. So this is the Google form, and also the link for the. Okay, this is the link for the form. Um, yeah, the link for the certificate will be shared as well. Yes. Maybe we have to close this. Okay, are we done, or just, or can we just allow them more time, or that's enough?
Yeah, that's it. We just need, I just want to say that the link to the certificate will be also posted on Facebook,
That's
uh,
great.
maybe tomorrow morning. Okay. So for the 3 webinars, okay. So each webinar has its own link.
Yes, great. So I think they need the Facebook link.
Let me see.
For the certificate, they're asking, yeah, the certificates have no name, so you have to add your name, right? So download the certificate, and then add your name and save it as a PDF, right? This is how you can do it, simply
Yeah.
as that.
After they download it, they'll be able to write on it.
Yes, yeah, it's editable, yeah.
Yeah. I'll be sharing the Facebook link to the group in a minute.
That's great. Okay. So it's coming in a minute. Just be patient, please. So Iman
The
is going to,
Facebook post?
yeah,
Yeah.
just
Just because I need to copy it from
yeah,
my.
just take your time.
Yeah, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Okay. Yeah. Yes, here we go. Hello, Mohammed, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, just
Yeah, just one remark. People, yeah, teachers, you can also rewatch the recording of all the sessions of today through our Facebook page or a YouTube channel. So you will find the links on the Facebook page for yeah, that's great. So this is our Facebook page link. So you can just tap and subscribe to the Facebook. You can like the page. As I said, you can rewatch the recording of today's sessions, including my session, on our Facebook page or YouTube channel. So I think this is enough for today.
yeah. Will you share the references for today's session,
Yeah,
Mohammed?
sure. Can you please share them if they want
I
to?
am going to share them right now.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So these are the references. So you can go in depth in those topics we share today.
Done.
So first of
Thank you,
all,
Basma.
I'd like to thank Iman for your huge work, and you've really done a great job today, helping with
Thank
the
you, Mohammed.
moderation and also uh, being so patient with the teachers and posting the links. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank you, and also
Problem.
thank the
Thank you.
teachers.
I can see that
Yeah,
people enjoyed the session, which
glad
is
to hear
great.
that. Yeah,
Yes.
thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you for
everyone.
attending. Yeah, I'll see
Enjoy the
you
rest
next
of your
time with our,
evening.
yeah. See you next time with our new
Yeah.
topics and new moderators as well. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you. See you
bye
next
bye.
month.
Next
Bye.
month. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.